Seatbelt signs on, baby, I murmured, nudging Caleb's elbow as he stretched toward the overhead. Grab your headphones and sit back. I put them next to my comic, he whispered. Row 14. We're 14, right? We're 14. He stood, small and careful, the way I'd taught him in crowded spaces. Elbows close, eyes soft, voice gentle. His fingers touched the latch. Excuse me. The voice cut like a blade. That's not your bin. I felt my chest tighten before I even looked up. He's just getting his headphones, I said. The flight attendant, Laura, gold wings bright, smile not, tilted her chin. Those belong to first-class passengers. We're sitting right here, I said. Our bags are in this bin. Caleb froze. Mom? You're reaching into someone else's luggage, Laura said, louder now, eyes on me, not on him. Please take your seat. My bag is black with a red tag, Caleb whispered. I see it. It's our bag, I said. You could have asked instead of assuming. I'm responsible for security, she answered. I need compliance, not commentary. The word compliance slid hot down my spine. He's 11, Laura folded her arms. I don't care if he's 5. He can't rummage through other people's belongings. Caleb's hand trembled. I'm not rummaging. Take your seat, she repeated. Let him get the headphones, I said, keeping my voice even, because rage can be a fire or a blade, and today needed a blade. We stored the bag when we boarded. You watched us. I watch a lot of people, she said, and I didn't see you put anything there. You watched us, I repeated. My mouth tasted like copper. You just didn't see us. Ma'am, she snapped. Sit down, now. Mom, did I do something wrong? Caleb's voice was small, crushed into the space between his chest and the tray table. You didn't, I said. You followed the rules. Captain, Laura called down the aisle, not actually calling for him, just making a show of it. We may have a situation in 14. Passengers turned. The air got crowded with the sound of necks moving. I felt the stare of a man across the aisle, the smirk he didn't bother to hide. His smirk made my stomach twist. I kept my eyes on my son. We don't have a situation, I told her. We have your assumption. That's all. Sit down. Each word a stamp, as if the floor needed bruises. Caleb sank into his seat without the headphones. I closed the bin. The latch clicked like a door locking behind a choice. Thank you, Laura said, cold and satisfied. We'll address this when we land. Address what? I asked. Your noncompliance. The smirk across the aisle grew. Rule's a rule, he muttered. I didn't look at him. A rule is a door, I said quietly to Caleb. Some people close it. Some people open it. Did she think I was stealing? He whispered. She thought she could talk to you like you would disappear, I said. You didn't. Laura returned with another attendant, Diane, her eyes measuring me like a tape. Everything okay here? Diane asked, the kind of question that's already decided its answer. Everything's fine, I said, except my son was stopped from touching his own bag. Diane glanced at Laura. Let's let the captain know. Let the captain know we stored our bag in the correct place and were told otherwise, I said, Laura's lips thinned. We'll let security handle it. Security? My voice dropped. For headphones? For non-compliance, she said again, like a badge she could polish. We'll have officers meet us at the gate. Caleb's breathing hitched. I touched his shoulder. Deep breath, I whispered. In 4 out 4, he shook his head. I didn't do anything. I know, I said. Say less, mean more. Don't perform for grief. You exist. That's all you did. For the rest of the descent, the plane hummed around our silence. Laura passed us twice, smiling at everyone else, skipping our row like we were a stain she couldn't scrub. People watched and then looked away, their looks hitting my skin like dry rain. I stared at the window where the ground rose slow, then faster, then hard. The tires hit. The cabin clapped. I didn't. Laura lifted the phone and murmured. She looked at us and then away. Mom, Caleb said. I'm here, I said. When we reached the gate, she stood in the aisle blocking our path. Remain seated, she said to us alone. I have a connection, the smirker complained behind me. Let them deal with it outside. I'm not moving, Laura told me, planting herself. Officers are coming. Officers, I repeated. Because a child reached for headphones. Because a passenger refused instructions. I refused a prejudice, I said. Different thing. 2 officers boarded. One had the tired face of someone who'd made up his mind in the parking lot. Ma'am, he said, leaning over, not meeting Caleb's eyes. We need to step off and have a chat. About what? I asked. Just basic questions, he said. You can cooperate or what? I asked. Or we can make it formal. Caleb's hand found mine and squeezed until my rings hurt. Are we in trouble? He whispered. You're not, I said. I looked at the officer. We'll talk, but you'll talk to him like he's a child, not a suspect. We'll talk to you, he said, dismissive. He doesn't need to be involved. He was involved when she called you, I said, nodding at Laura. Ma'am, Laura said sweetly, we're just following procedure. Your procedure humiliated a kid, I said. Let's go, the officer said, already turning. We stood. Diane glanced down and noticed the black bag with the red tag right above us. Her face moved like she'd swallowed a secret. She didn't say a word. In the jet bridge, the noise changed, from airplane breath to airport echo. Another officer waited, arms folded. Name? He asked. Imani Brooks, I said. He wrote without looking at me. Reason for the incident? I tried to let my son get his headphones, I said. A flight attendant assumed he didn't belong in the bin. Did you raise your voice? The first officer asked. I raised my boundaries, I said. Did you comply when asked to sit? He pressed. I sat when my son's safety would be better served by example than argument, I said. My heart beat in my throat. Speak clean. Don't give them your rage for free. Did your son touch any luggage that wasn't his? The second officer asked. Do you want to ask him that? I asked. He looked at Caleb like he was a window he couldn't see through. Kid? Caleb swallowed. My bag has a red tag. It was right there. Did you touch other bags? I pushed one aside. He blinked. It was in front of mine. Okay, the first officer said, shrugging. That could be seen as attempting to access. Access? I echoed. He moved a strap. Ma'am, we're not here to fight, he said. We're here to make sure everyone's safe. Safe from what? I asked. From a child with cartoon headphones? Please calm down, he said, tired of the conversation. That phrase, please calm down, like a leash thrown at my throat. I am calm, I said. He's 11. He just wanted his headphones. The second officer tapped his pad. We'll document that there was a disagreement. We're letting you go. No charges. Letting us go, I repeated, the words cold in my mouth. As if you were holding us. Ma'am, the first officer sighed. If we don't have anything else, you can proceed. Laura stood at the end of the jet bridge, arms crossed, watching. I met her eyes. She looked away first. We're done? I asked the officers. We're done, the second one said. I exhaled and turned to Caleb. He was trying to stand tall, but his shoulders had learned a new shape. I knelt so my face met his. You hear me? He nodded, lip caught between his teeth. Yeah, head high, I whispered. Always. He straightened like he was remembering his own spine. Always, he said. I took his hand and we walked past Laura, past the smirks and the pity and the careful silence of people who saw everything and nothing. The airport swallowed us, bright and loud and ordinary, as if humiliation didn't echo. My chest still burned. My palm was damp where Caleb held on. Can I get my headphones now? He asked, a small plea shaped like a joke. We'll buy new ones, I said, and we'll keep the receipt. The room they took us to smelled like metal and stale coffee. I could feel the air trying to humiliate me, cold, white, indifferent. Caleb sat beside me, staring at his sneakers like they were the only safe place left in the world. Ma'am, we're just checking protocol, Officer Daniels said. His voice was calm in that way men get when they've already decided they're right. Protocol, I said, my throat dry. Looks a lot like profiling. He didn't even blink. No one's profiling anyone. We're simply verifying the situation. The situation, I repeated. You mean the part where a child tried to grab his own headphones and a white woman decided he was a threat? Ma'am, he said, tapping his pen, there's no need to get emotional. I'm not emotional, I said. I'm specific. Caleb whispered. "Mom, can we go home now?" I looked at him, his small hands locked together, the way he always sat when he didn't want to cry. "Not yet, baby. They're still deciding if you look dangerous." "Ma'am," Officer Daniels said again, "this isn't helping." "What isn't?" I asked. "Me talking or me existing?" He sighed, that deep, tired sigh of a man who wants to end something he started. "We just need to make sure the report is clear." "You understand?" "No," I said quietly. "I don't." The door opened and another man walked in, wearing a badge and the fake smile of someone who'd practiced empathy in a mirror. "I'm Mr. Reynolds," he said. "Airport supervisor." He sat across from me, crossing his legs like he owned the air between us. "We understand how upsetting this must feel." "You understand?" I asked. "Tell me how it feels, then." "Well," he started, "any parent would be shaken by—" "By what?" I interrupted. "By watching their child treated like a suspect? By seeing officers called because his skin scared a stewardess?" He shifted in his seat. "Let's not make assumptions." "That's exactly what started this," I said. Caleb looked up, eyes wide and glassy. "Am I in trouble?" I turned to him. "No, baby." "You didn't do anything wrong?" Officer Daniels leaned forward. "No one said the boy was in trouble. We're just documenting an incident." "An incident caused by her fear," I said. "You ever write that down in your reports, officer?" "Fear?" He looked away. The supervisor smoothed his tie like he could iron the truth out of the room. "Look," Reynolds said, "we don't want this to escalate. If you cooperate, we can wrap this up quickly." "Cooperate," I repeated. "You mean stay quiet so everyone feels comfortable?" "Ma'am, please," Daniels said. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." I laughed, a sound I didn't mean to make. "Harder? You think this is hard for you?" Caleb's fingers brushed mine. "Mom," I took a breath. His hand was trembling. I remembered when he was 5, how he'd hide behind my legs whenever strangers got too close. I'd told him back then the world wasn't a monster. Today I felt like a liar. Reynolds stood up. "If you'll just sign this form, we'll let you go." "What does it say?" I asked. "That the issue was resolved without conflict." "Resolved," I said, my voice shaking. "You humiliated my son, and now you want a signature to pretend it never happened." "Ma'am." "Don't call me ma'am like it's a bandage." He froze. Daniels cleared his throat. "We're just doing our jobs." "No," I said. "You're protecting hers." Silence. The kind that fills every inch of air and makes it hard to breathe. Caleb finally whispered, "Mom, they thought I was bad, didn't they?" The room went still. I could hear the hum of the fluorescent lights. I wanted to tear the sound out of the ceiling. I knelt in front of him, ignoring the 2 men behind me. "No, baby. They thought they could get away with it." His lip trembled. "They looked at me like I did something. They looked at you like they forgot you were someone," I said. "That's worse." Reynolds stepped forward, voice softer now. "You can go, Ms. Brooks." I stood, staring at him until his smile cracked. "Next time," I said, "look your mistake in the eye when it's 11 years old and scared." He looked down at his papers. Daniels opened the door, pretending to be polite. "Have a good evening, ma'am." "Don't tell me what kind of evening to have," I said, and walked out. In the hallway, the air felt thinner, like we'd just stepped out of something dirty. Caleb held my hand tight, his palm damp against mine. He didn't say anything until we reached the main terminal, where travelers passed without looking at us. "Mom," he whispered. "Do people always think like that?" I didn't answer right away. My throat hurt too much. When I finally spoke, it came out quiet, almost a promise. "They won't forever." He looked up at me. "How do you know?" I squeezed his hand. "Because I won't let them." He nodded, eyes fixed straight ahead. Small shoulders squared against the world. They thought they could get away with it. I told myself again, they wouldn't. The break room smelled like burnt coffee and disinfectant. My name was still echoing in people's whispers before I even stepped inside. Diane looked up from the counter. "You really called the cops on a kid?" "I did what I had to do," Laura said, her voice sharp, defensive. "He was acting suspicious." "Suspicious?" Diane repeated. "He was 11. Laura's jaw tightened. He was reaching where he shouldn't have. I don't make the rules. You sure act like you write them, Diane said. Everyone's talking, Laura. You didn't just file a report. You made a scene. Laura crossed her arms, her reflection caught in the vending machine glass. He was in the overhead. I told him to sit down. He didn't. I imagined the sound of her voice on that plane, cold, clipped, so sure of its rightness. It burned through me again, even though she wasn't talking to me now. You ever ask him what he was doing? Diane asked. He didn't answer fast enough, Laura said. And his mother. She hesitated, eyes flickering toward the door as if someone might be listening. She made it worse. Mothers usually do when their kids are treated like criminals, Diane said. Laura's lips parted, but before she could reply, Captain Miller walked in. His face looked older than it had that morning. Ladies, he said quietly. Laura straightened. Captain, he didn't return the formality. You know who that boy was? Laura blinked. A passenger. Miller stared at her for a long, silent moment. He's Imani Brooks's son. Her eyes widened. Wait, what? The CEO, he said. The woman you threatened to report to security. I didn't know, Laura said quickly. No one told me. You didn't ask, Miller said. You never ask. Diane crossed her arms, muttering, Doesn't change anything. Laura shook her head. I was following procedure. Miller leaned against the counter, his voice low and steady. Procedure doesn't mean pointing fingers at children. She was hostile. Laura snapped. She challenged my authority in front of the passengers. I had to maintain order. You had to maintain control, Diane said, voice cool. Big difference. I wasn't thinking about race, Laura said, her voice trembling now. It wasn't about that. That's what everyone says, Miller murmured. Until it is. I didn't mean to. No one ever means to, he said. That's the problem. Silence pressed against the walls. The clock ticked too loud. I could almost feel Laura's panic, that desperate scramble to hold on to her own innocence. She ran a hand through her hair. He looked nervous. I thought... You thought wrong, Miller said. Her voice cracked. I didn't know she was her. He shook his head. That's the part that stings, Laura. You only regret it because of who she is. Not what you did. That's not fair. It's the truth, Diane said. If she weren't the CEO, you'd be bragging right now about stopping a security threat. I was just following policy, Laura whispered. No, Diane said, the words sharp enough to cut. You were following fear. The hum of the refrigerator filled the silence that followed. Laura stared at the floor, the sound of her own heartbeat louder than any apology she could think of. She whispered something no one responded to, something small and useless. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, but the room didn't care. The air had already chosen its side. I was still at the kitchen table when David came in, 2 a.m. glowing from the microwave clock, the only light in the house. The police report lay in front of me, open, heavy, waiting. I hadn't read past the first line in an hour. Incident report, refusal to comply. My name sat under it like a bruise that wouldn't fade. You're still up? He asked, voice low, tired. Couldn't sleep, I said. Every time I close my eyes, I see her face. That look she gave Caleb. David pulled out a chair, the scrape loud in the quiet. You can't let this slide, Imani. I'm not letting it slide. I traced the edge of the paper with my fingertip. If I fire them, they'll call me angry. If I don't, they'll call me weak. He leaned back. You care too much about what people who don't respect you think. I have to, I said. I've seen what happens when I don't. They twist my silence into guilt and my voice into threat. He sighed. You own the airline, baby. You don't owe them anything. I owe my son something, I said. My throat tightened. I owe him a world that sees him as a child, not a crime scene. David nodded slowly, eyes soft but sharp with worry. Then make them see him. I don't know how, I whispered. If I make this public, it'll turn into spectacle. Headlines, debates, and they'll forget it started with an 11-year-old boy just trying to get his headphones. He didn't answer right away. The clock ticked between us. My chest hurt with how much silence can weigh. Finally, he said, You can't save them from their own reflection, Imani. All you can do is hold up the mirror. I looked at the report again. Complaint resolved, no charges filed. They'd written resolved like peace had been restored. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. When I walked off that plane, I said, I felt every pair of eyes on me, pretending not to see what was happening, pretending I was the problem. David rubbed my hand slow, grounding. They were scared of the truth. Always have been. I thought of Laura's face, her voice, sharp, confident, righteous. I didn't see you put anything there. I thought of the officer's tone when he said, please calm down, like my calm had to earn his respect. I could fire her, I said, almost to myself. The whole crew. Everyone who let it happen. Then do it, he said. I can't just swing the axe, I said. It can't look like rage. Why not? Because they'll make it rage. They'll spin it into a headline. Black CEO loses control. He gave me a look I couldn't hold. So you'll do nothing? I'll do something, I said. But it won't be loud. The hallway creaked. Small feet shuffled against the wood. Caleb's voice came, soft, sleepy. Mom, I turned. He was standing in his pajamas, eyes heavy but worried. Hey, baby, I said. Go back to bed. I heard you, he said. What are you gonna do? I looked at him, his small frame, his face too old for 11. My voice trembled before it steadied. I'm going to make them see you, he frowned. See me how? As you are, I said. Not what they want you to be, not what they fear you to be. He nodded slowly, then came closer and wrapped his arms around me. His warmth undid me. My heart cracked in that quiet way that doesn't make sound but hurts more than anything. I didn't do anything wrong, he murmured. I know, I whispered back. That's why it's going to matter. He pulled away, rubbing his eyes. Are you mad at her? No, I said. Mad isn't the word. What word then? I thought about it. The weight of every word ever used to shrink me, to flatten me, to twist my tone into threat. Determined, I said. He nodded, yawned, and went back toward his room. When his door clicked shut, I let out the breath I'd been holding since the airport. David was still watching me. You mean that? He asked. Yes, I said. I'm done asking for understanding. I'll make them understand. He smiled, tired but proud. Then burn them with truth. The word sank deep. Truth doesn't always burn fast. It smolders. But tonight I could feel the first flicker. I need the door closed, I said, stepping into B12. No observers. No hallway commentary. Just us. Carla Reed nodded without meeting my eyes. We're here to review misconduct. No, I said, taking the chair at the head of the table because my spine needed the reminder. We're here to confront bias. The air shifted like someone sucked the oxygen out. Papers rustled. My heartbeat steadied itself on a low drum. Carla tried again. For the record, I cut in. My son is 11. He reached for his own bag. You called security. Laura's voice shook. I followed procedure. You followed fear, I said. Say the right word so we can start. The union rep cleared his throat. Let's slow down. We have rights here. My son's fear isn't negotiable, I said. We won't be slowing down. Captain Miller sat with his hands folded, jaw tight. He looked like he wanted to speak and didn't know if his mouth would help or hurt. Carla lifted a pen like it could save her. Ms. Brooks, if we could proceed with statements, start with hers, I said, nodding at Laura. I want to hear the logic that made my child a threat. Laura glanced at the union rep, then back at me. I saw movement near the overhead. I didn't recognize the bag. He looked nervous. Nervous? I asked. He was on a plane. He's 11. I thought he was... She started. You thought he was guilty before you knew his name, I said. Finish the sentence honestly or stop talking. The union rep leaned forward, palms up, voice smooth with practice. We appreciate the intensity of your feelings, Ms. Brooks, but policy is a mirror, I said. It shows what you bring to it. She brought suspicion to my son's skin. Carla scribbled something. My chest tightened. I heard the scratch like a match head on the table. Laura took a breath that sounded like begging. I didn't know he was your son. That's supposed to help you? I asked. That's not a defense. That's a confession. You didn't know he had power, so you felt free to strip him of dignity. I wasn't trying to strip. You told him to sit and you told me to comply, I said. You performed control for an audience. You called the police to back your performance. The union rep lifted a hand. We can't litigate tone. I can, I said, leaning in. Because tone turned into officers with pads, and pads turn into records, and records follow black children like shadows they didn't earn. Miller finally spoke, voice low. She made a call she shouldn't have made. You watched and let it happen, I said. That's also a call. His eyes dropped. I believed she had discretion. Your belief stamped my child's fear into the jet bridge, I said. Discretion without discernment is a weapon. Carla cleared her throat. We need specifics, times, exact words. Exact words? I felt the heat rise. She said, remain seated. She said, officers are coming. She said, compliance, not commentary. Those are the stones. Build your wall. Laura's eyes glossed. I never meant, you meant to be obeyed, I said. You meant your comfort to be law. I was protecting other passengers, she whispered. From what? I asked. From a boy who likes superheroes and gummy bears? From a mother who asked you to see her child? The union rep's voice sharpened. This is turning punitive. Yes, I said. Accountability feels like punishment when you've avoided it. Carla looked at me, then at Laura. We can discuss training, remediation, a probation period. No, I said. Training is what you do before you harm. We're past before. Laura pressed her palms to the table. Please, I've worked 15 years. I've seen a lot of things. I was scared. There it is, I said softly. Say the true sentence. You were scared of my son's presence, not his behavior. She flinched. He was moving quickly. He was excited about headphones, I said. The last song he downloaded is about flying. He wanted to listen while we landed. The room went quiet. Even the air conditioner seemed to hold its breath. Miller spoke again, voice heavy. I should have intervened. You should have remembered every video that ends with a boy explained by a mother who's already lost him, I said. My hands were steady now. You should have chosen courage over convenience. Carla pinched the bridge of her nose. What outcome are you seeking, Ms. Brooks? An honest record, I said. An action that means something. A signal to every employee whose instincts point in one direction when they see a black child. The union rep spread his fingers. We can't create a precedent that you already did, I said. On that plane, you created a precedent that fear can call an officer. I'm correcting it, Laura whispered. I'm sorry. I hear the word, I said. I don't hear accountability. What do you want me to say? She asked, voice breaking. That I saw race? That I reacted because of it? Yes, I said. Start there. Then sit with it until it hurts enough to change you. Carla tried to corral the moment back into corporate lines. Would you accept a suspension pending? Listen to me, I said, and my own voice surprised me with how calm it sounded. My son's voice shook when he asked if he'd done something wrong. He asked me if people always think like that. I will not answer him with a suspension. The union rep pointed a pen at me like it was leverage. If you terminate summarily, we will arbitrate. We will claim retaliation. Claim whatever lets you sleep, I said. I slept fine until yesterday. He sat back, lips tight. Laura's hands trembled. I have a mortgage, a daughter in college. I have a son who learned a new shape for his shoulders, I said. He learned it in your aisle. I can't pay that tuition down, Miller whispered. Himani, I know your name, I said, looking at him until he had to raise his eyes. I remember who offered us the empty apology after landing. Empty apologies breed the next incident. Carla's pen hovered. Final decision? Final, I said. Laura stared at me like I'd pulled the floor away. Please, I'm asking as a person. I'm answering as a mother, I said. As a leader. As someone who is done negotiating my son's right to be seen, Carla exhaled. For the minutes, write this exactly, I said. Effective immediately, the involved crew are grounded indefinitely pending full review of procedures, bias incidents, and leadership failures. Grounded means no flight duties, no customer contact, no safety authority. The union rep started to object. I lifted a hand. Your protest is noted for arbitration you will lose in public opinion and likely in policy. I have data, recordings, passenger statements. I have the truth you are afraid will be written down. It will. Laura's mouth moved around a word that didn't arrive. I watched her try to gather a defense from the floor. Nothing grew there. Miller cleared his throat again. I will cooperate fully. You will reflect fully, I said. Cooperation is the floor. Reflection is the ceiling. Find a ladder, Carla asked, softer now. Do you want to address the team beyond this room? Yes, I said. Send a memo that begins with this sentence. We do not confuse discomfort with danger. Then add, we do not outsource judgment to fear. Then add, we do not ask children to carry our ignorance. Carla's pen finally caught up to the moment. I'll draft it. You'll publish it, I said. Not a draft that gets buried in committee, Laura swallowed. If I write a letter to your son, write it to the version of yourself that thought he was a problem, I said. Send that letter every morning before you put your uniform on. The union rep scraped his chair back like retreat could look like strategy. We'll be in touch with legal. Bring your best, I said. I'll bring the mirror. Silence fell again, but it didn't feel empty anymore. It felt like the second before thunder. Inevitable, honest. Carla closed the folder. Is there anything else? Yes, I said. There will be a training overhaul, mandatory, not a slide deck. Conversations with people who don't owe you politeness. Measured by change, not attendance. Miller nodded. Understood. Laura finally whispered, so quiet I almost missed it. I just followed policy. No, I said, standing because I was done sitting beneath this. Power didn't roar. It whispered. And you listened to the wrong voice. I turned to the door, my hand steady on the handle. You're all grounded indefinitely. My phone's vibrating off the table, I said, staring at the notification swarm. What now? Carla's voice burst through on the first ring. Don't hang up. There's a leak. What leak? A recording. Laura. She said, the CEO pulled the race card, and some people like to play victim. It's everywhere. I closed my eyes. The words landed like gravel. Play it. I don't think play it. Static. Then Laura's bright, brittle laugh. She wants to make an example. The race card, oh, please, she's milking it. The kid looked sketchy. I felt something cold settle behind my ribs. Stop. Carla exhaled. We need a statement. Press is outside your building. They're saying this could destroy Brooks' air. I walked to the window. The street noise churned like a storm that hadn't decided where to land. Or rebuild it, I said. A chorus of dings cut through, texts from board members, a voicemail from a morning show, a clipped email, comment or we assume no comment. My pulse thudded in my ears. Carla again, urgent now. We have to speak. Today. Sometimes silence is louder, I said. It won't be louder than this. Keys clacked on her end. Listen to this. She put me on speaker. A news anchor's voice. Pleasant, interested, hungry. A leaked recording appears. To show a flight attendant mocking CEO Imani Brooks, another voice jumped in, a panelist I didn't know. This looks bad. It suggests a personal vendetta. And another. Or it proves her point. Bias in uniform. Carla took me off speaker. They're setting the frame without you. I set the frame when I grounded them, I said. I'm not auditioning for belief. My phone lit with an unknown number. I picked up anyway. This is Brooks. Imani, this is Sandra from Morning Focus. Will you join us live? We want to give you space to respond. You want ratings? I said. My son isn't a segment. A pause. We'll handle it with care. You didn't handle that recording with care, I said, and ended the call. Carla groaned. They'll punish you for being unavailable. They punished my child for existing, I said. I can live with their bruised access. Another call. Same pitch, different voice. We'll be fair. I let it go to voicemail. A text followed. If you don't speak, her version stands. I typed back. Her version confessed itself. Carla kept moving. A written statement then. 3 lines. We lead with dignity. We condemn the language. We restate the grounding. Write it, I said. No corporate perfume. Say what happened. Say what we're changing. My television remote sat where Caleb left it. I turned it on and the room flooded with strangers deciding who I was. Anchor. Is this the end for Brooks Air? Panelist 1. If she overreached, yes. Panelist 2. If she holds the line, no. Anchor. Is calling out racism overreach? Panelist 1. It's about process. Panelist 2. It's about humanity. I muted the screen and let their mouths move without sound. My own reflection looked back at me in the black strip beneath the ticker. I could read the headline in my face even with no words. Do not flinch. A voicemail notification appeared. Laura's voice, shaky this time. Ms. Brooks. Someone recorded me. It was out of context. I'm not racist. You know that, right? I was just venting. Can we talk? I deleted it. My thumb hovered over the trash icon longer than it needed to. Venting becomes policy when it wears a uniform. Carla returned. Draft ready. Read it. We heard the recording. It confirms the bias behind a harmful decision. Our response is unchanged. The crew remain grounded while we rebuild training, accountability, and trust. We do not confuse discomfort with danger. We will not ask children to carry our ignorance. Add one more line, I said. Say, we'll publish our training modules and invite public scrutiny. Then send it. Publishing invites lawsuits, she warned. So does cowardice, I said. Carla went quiet, the way people go quiet when they find the edge of your patience. Sending. My phone rang again. A reporter yelled over crowd noise. Imani, did you fire them because you're emotional? Are you exploiting your son's experience? Tell me your son's name, I asked. What? If your son cried on a jet bridge, what would you teach him about silence? I asked. That's my answer. I hung up. Carla came back. The board wants reassurance. They're asking about stock. They want to know if you'll apologize for tone. My tone doesn't handcuff children, I said. Tell them we'll be fine. Another anchor, unmuted this time because my finger slipped. The internet split. Some call her a hero. Some say she's playing victim. I turned the TV off. The sudden silence made my heart louder. I sat at the edge of Caleb's doorway. His breath rose and fell in small, steady waves. The shape of his sleep tightened something in my throat. My mind drifted to the jet bridge again, to the way he tried to stand taller than his fear. I swallowed the old memory it woke. Me at 9, holding my mother's hand while a store clerk followed us aisle to aisle. The sentence that lived from that day. They are watching for a reason they brought with them. Carla texted, statement posted. Reactions incoming. Some praise, some venom. Same storm, different day. I typed, stay off the shows, no debates, we'll talk only when it changes something. She called instead. One question. Personal interview with the paper of record, long form. No panel chaos. I rubbed my forehead. Later. After the training is real, not a promise. They'll say you're hiding, she said. They watched me work for a decade and called it invisible, I said. They can live with not seeing me for a week. Another ping, an email from a passenger who'd sat 2 rows back. My daughter asked why the lady hated the boy. I had no answer. I'm sorry. I whispered the words out loud to hear what they did to me. I'm sorry, I said, into an empty room. It didn't fix anything, but it didn't leave me either. Carla's voice softened. How's Caleb? Asleep, I said. Finally. I'll run interference tonight, she said. If this gets uglier... It already was ugly, I said. The camera just turned on. I put the phone down and walked into Caleb's room. Moonlight drew a faint line across his cheek. I sat on the floor beside his bed and let the quiet set. The crowd outside kept talking to itself. Hashtags, headlines, hot takes spinning like coins no one could catch. I leaned close so my words wouldn't travel farther than his pillow. Let them talk, I whispered. I already said enough. I need you to breathe, I told myself in the hallway, palm flat on my chest like I could press calm into my ribs. In 4, out 4? Caleb squeezed my hand. You don't have to stay, I whispered. I want to, he said, voice small but steady. I want to hear them say what they did. I'll do the hearing, I said. You just watch me stand. Inside, the room felt colder than it looked. All rise, the clerk said. We stood. I heard pens click like insects. Counsel, the judge said, flat as a level line. Opening statements. Laura's lawyer rose. Your Honor, this is a simple case. My client was terminated in retaliation, punished for following procedure. The defendant, Ms. Brooks, acted out of personal anger. I stood when my attorney nodded. Your Honor, I said because I had asked to speak for myself, this isn't retaliation. This is accountability for calling the police on an 11-year-old boy reaching for his own bag. The judge tilted his head. You'll have time, Ms. Brooks. Counsel, proceed with witnesses. They called Laura first. She walked past me without meeting my eyes. I listened to her footsteps and remembered the aisle, the way she planted herself like ownership. She took the oath. Her voice shook, then smoothed itself like a uniform. Ms. Jenkins, her lawyer began, what happened on Flight 280? I saw a child moving quickly near the overhead, she said. I asked him to sit. The mother, Ms. Brooks, challenged me. I felt the situation escalating. I followed protocol. Did you intend to target the boy because of his race? He asked. No, she said, nails clicking on the wooden armrest. I don't see race. I see safety, I almost laughed. It stayed in my throat like a stone. Thank you, the lawyer said. No further questions. My turn. Ms. Jenkins, I said, standing where I could see her face. Do you remember my son's name? She blinked. Caleb. Do you remember what he said to you? He said he was getting his headphones. What did you say back? I asked him to sit. You told him to sit, I said. And you told me to comply. Why did you call officers? She shifted. I believed a rule was being broken. Which rule? The rule about accessing another passenger's property. Did you verify the bag wasn't his? I didn't need to verify. You did, I said. Because you were wrong. Her mouth tightened. I didn't know. That's the spine of this, I said. You didn't know, and you still acted like you did. Her lawyer stood. Objection argumentative. Sustained, the judge said. Ms. Brooks, ask questions. I will, I said. Ms. Jenkins, did you laugh on a recording about the race card? Her eyes flickered. Someone recorded me without consent. I was venting. Did you say it? She swallowed. Yes. Did you say my son looked sketchy? Objection, her lawyer snapped. Characterization. Overruled, the judge said. Answer. She stared at the table. Yes, I felt my pulse slow. Sometimes anger becomes ice and lets me think. Sketchy how? I asked. His movements, she said. He was fidgety. He was 11, I said. He was excited. Did you consider any explanation besides suspicion? I was scared, she burst out, voice cracking. Okay? I was scared. The words hung like smoke. You were scared, I repeated, quieter than I felt. I stepped closer because I needed the sentence to land. You were scared of his color, not his actions. A silence opened wide enough to fall into. Even the pen stopped. Laura's lawyer found his voice first. Objection. Overruled, the judge said, eyes on Laura. She stared at me, then away. I saw something collapsing behind her face. No further questions, I said, and sat. My hands shook under the table. I pressed them flat on my skirt like I could iron the tremor out. They called me. I stood again. The oath tasted like metal. My own lawyer kept it clean. What did you feel when officers approached your son? I felt old, I said. Older than my years. I felt every story I've carried since I was 9, and a store clerk followed me down an aisle for touching shampoo. I felt my son's fingers squeeze mine so tight I thought my rings would cut skin. I felt his question. Did I do something wrong? And I wanted a world where the answer would always be no. Why did you ground the crew? He asked. Because I want a company where discomfort isn't mistaken for danger, I said. Because I won't ask children to carry our ignorance. Opposing counsel rose, voice oily with rehearsed concern. Ms. Brooks, you own the airline. Isn't grounding the entire crew an overreaction motivated by personal offense? Personal? I said. My son's fear is personal. Correcting the policy that caused it is professional. Is this about headlines? He asked. About image? This is about an aisle, I said. A boy, a bag, and a woman who decided fear could call an officer. It's smaller than headlines and bigger than image. He smiled like he thought he had something. You're angry. I'm clear, I said. Clarity sounds like anger to people who prefer fog. Did you consider a warning instead of termination? I considered the cost my son paid, I said. Warnings don't refund it. No further questions, he said, tight-mouthed. The judge leaned forward. Counsel closings, Laura's lawyer stood. This is a good employee with 15 years of service. She followed procedure. She's being punished for a misinterpretation fueled by emotion and media pressure. We asked the court to restore her position and reputational standing. My lawyer remained seated and touched my forearm. I understood. I rose. Your Honor, I said. We keep pretending neutrality exists where bias lives. We write rules without admitting who we imagine when we enforce them. My son learned a new shape for his shoulders on a jet bridge. He learned it from a woman who says she doesn't see race, but named it when she wanted to win a conversation. I didn't retaliate. I corrected. If we reward fear in uniform, we will always be escorting children off planes for reaching toward what is theirs. The judge studied me for a long beat that felt like a held breath. The court will take this under advisement, he said, voice unreadable. We'll issue a decision shortly. We stood. The room rustled back to life. Reporters waited near the doors, questions already flying. Ms. Brooks, are you ruining livelihoods out of pride? Ms. Brooks, do you accept responsibility for escalating? I looked at them, then at Caleb behind the bar. Ask a better question, I said. Ask why a child needed de-escalation for wanting music. Laura brushed past me. She started. I heard you, I said. On the plane. On the tape. In here. I didn't mean... You meant it then, I said. Mean it now long enough to change. Outside, the steps were crowded with microphones dressed as concern. One statement, a reporter called. Just one. Here it is, I said. We are done confusing fear with fact. Caleb slipped his hand into mine while the cameras blinked like restless eyes. Did we win? He asked, quiet enough for me alone. I don't know, I said. Not yet. You sounded strong, he said. I sounded like your mother, I answered. My throat burned and cooled at the same time. We reached the car. I sat with the door open and watched people pass, each carrying their own verdicts. My heart knocked, not for triumph, for what it cost to speak. I pressed my head back and let the silence come. It wasn't peace. It was a pause. No justice ever feels like victory. The flash of cameras stung my eyes before the first question even reached me. Ms. Brooks, someone shouted. Did you destroy her career? I felt Caleb's small fingers curl around mine, grounding me. I didn't destroy her, I said, steady. I revealed her, another voice cut through. Do you feel remorse? For telling the truth? I asked. No, not even a little. Microphones crowded closer, black plastic mouths begging for sound bites. Do you think you went too far? Someone asked. I could taste my pulse. She went too far the moment she decided my son's skin was suspicious. I just drew the line she crossed. Caleb tugged at my hand. Mom, he whispered. Can we go home? Yeah, baby, I said. We're going home. As we pushed through the noise, someone shouted, What does justice look like to you, Ms. Brooks? I stopped. The crowd hushed the way people do before they film a quote. It looks like honesty, I said. And honesty never flatters anyone. In the car, silence followed us like a passenger that refused to leave. I rested my forehead against the window. The courthouse was shrinking behind us, all glass and distance. Caleb spoke first. Why were they yelling? Because they wanted a story, I said. Not the truth, just a version that sells. He frowned. What's the difference? The truth stands, I said. A story bends. He thought about it. I watched his reflection in the window, eyes too thoughtful for 11. So, did we win? I smiled without joy. We were heard. Sometimes that's all winning is. He leaned back, watching the lights blur by. They said you ruined her life. They said that? Yeah, on TV the guy said she lost everything, I exhaled. She lost what she built on silence. That's different, he nodded slowly. Does that mean it's over? Not really, I said. Stories like this don't end. They just change hands, he turned toward me. Mom, what does justice mean? The question hit harder than any headline. I searched for words that wouldn't bruise. Justice means telling the truth even when it hurts, I said. It means doing what's right when the world would rather you be quiet. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, so you did justice. I tried, I said. That's all any of us can do. From the driver's seat, David said softly, You did more than try. I did what I had to, I said. I chose our dignity over their comfort, he nodded. And they won't forget it. I hope they don't, I said. For once, I hope they remember exactly what it felt like to be confronted by the truth. Caleb leaned against my arm. Are they mad because you're the boss? Partly, I said. But mostly because I didn't stay small when they expected me to. He yawned, resting his head on my shoulder. You didn't sound small? Good, I whispered. Because neither did you. The city faded behind us. I watched our reflections blur into the glass. The mother who spoke too loudly, the child who was almost erased. Do you think they'll ever stop? David asked quietly. No, I said. Not until they learn why they started. He didn't ask what I meant. He knew. He reached for my hand at a red light, fingers lacing through mine. You okay? I'm something, I said. Not sure what yet. The light turned green. Caleb murmured something half asleep, his voice thick with exhaustion. You sounded brave. I wanted to believe him. I sounded like someone tired of being quiet, I said. Outside, the city lights streaked like they were running from something. Maybe we all were. Maybe justice was just motion, the act of refusing to stay still. I turned my face toward the window, watched the courthouse glow in the distance like a wound still open. Some victory's whisper, I thought. This one screamed. The hum of the engine still makes my stomach tighten. It's quieter now, softer somehow, but every boarding announcement sounds like a memory I didn't ask for. Caleb walks ahead of me, taller than before, backpack slung across his shoulder like he owns his space. Good morning, the new attendant says, smiling. Her name tag catches the light, Tiffany Rogers. Her voice carries warmth that doesn't sound rehearsed. Welcome back, Mr. Brooks. Caleb stops, blinking. You know me? She kneels to his level, steady and kind. We all do, she says. You're safe here. He studies her face for a long second, like he's testing the truth in her tone. Then he smiles, and small, shy, but real. Thanks, he says. I breathe in slowly. My lungs don't shake this time. Thank you, I whisper. Tiffany nods. It's good to have you both flying with us again. Her eyes linger, gentle but deliberate, as if she knows the history stitched between these seats. I nod back and guide Caleb down the aisle. We settle by the window. The same row as before. Same view, different weight. Caleb leans toward me. She was nice, he says. She was, I answer. That's what it should have felt like all along. He watches the other passengers take their seats. They're looking, he says quietly. People always look, I tell him. The trick is deciding what you give them to see. He frowns a little. What do you give them? Myself, I say. Every time. He nods, then presses his forehead to the glass. The plane starts to roll, wheels humming against the runway. Mom, he says, not looking at me. Yeah? Do you think they'll ever stop seeing color? I let the question sit between us. The kind that deserves silence before an answer. The clouds start to lift beneath us, white fading into endless blue. Only when they start seeing people, I say. Not symbols. Not stories. Just people, he turns to me. You think that'll happen? Maybe not soon, I say. But every time you speak, every time you stand tall, it gets closer. He smiles, that slow kind of smile that used to come so easily. You think I'm brave? I know you are, I tell him. Brave doesn't mean unafraid. It means you get on the plane anyway. He laughs softly. You too. I close my eyes as the engines rise to their steady roar. The sound used to fill me with dread. Now it feels like proof that we're still moving, still rising. The seatbelt sign dings off. Tiffany passes by again, checking Rose. She stops by ours. You two doing okay? Caleb nods. Yeah, I like the clouds, she smiles. They look soft, don't they? He leans closer to her. They look like you could land on them. Maybe one day you'll fly above them, she says. He grins, wide now. Maybe. When she moves on, I whisper, she meant it. He glances at me. You sound surprised. I'm learning not to be, I say. He takes my hand, his fingers smaller than they'll be for much longer. It's better now, he murmurs. It is, I whisper. It's not perfect, but it's better. Outside, the horizon opens wide, sunlight spilling across the wing like a promise kept. I rest my head back against the seat. The cabin hums, steady and calm. I can feel every inch of the air holding us up. For the first time in months, I let myself believe we deserve the altitude. I close my eyes. The clouds glide beneath us, endless and forgiving. Some stories don't end with applause, I think. They end with quiet breathing, steady hearts, and open skies. The ballroom hums with the kind of polite laughter that always sounds expensive. Glasses clink, chandeliers sparkle, and the same people who once looked through me now tilt their heads like we're old friends. I can tell the difference between admiration and discomfort. It's written in the pauses. Caleb squeezes my hand. You sure you want to stay? I need to be seen, I say. Not for them. For me? He nods and wanders toward the dessert table. I'm halfway through a conversation I don't care about when I feel a presence behind me. A soft, hesitant breath. Imani. Her voice drags through me like memory. I turn. Laura stands a few feet away, thinner, eyes dimmed by something I recognize. Consequence. I shouldn't be here, she says quickly. But I needed to say something. You already said enough, I reply, quiet but firm. I lost everything. Her hands shake as she clutches her clutch bag like it might keep her steady. My job, my friends, my reputation. I'm a headline now. Then maybe, I say, you can finally see what you had. Her eyes glisten. You think I deserved all that? I think consequences are just mirrors, I say. They show you what you've done, not what you wish you did. She takes a shaky breath. Do you hate me? I pause. The truth moves slowly through me, deliberate, heavy. No, I say finally. Hate is too heavy. I just learned to stop carrying it. She wipes her face, laughing once, a small broken sound. You sound stronger than I remember. I had to be, I tell her. You don't survive humiliation by staying the same person who felt it. She nods, trembling. I thought I was protecting people that day. I thought fear meant vigilance. I didn't know it could be cruelty. You knew, I say softly. You just didn't name it. I don't know how to fix this, she whispers. Start by not asking me to make it easier for you, I say. That's not healing. That's avoidance. She stares at me, eyes searching for forgiveness, like it's a currency she can trade in. I wake up every day and see your face on the news. You look untouchable. I'm not, I say. I just stopped asking for permission to exist. Laura's voice cracks again. If I could go back, you'd still be scared, I interrupt. Because that's what you were taught to be. But maybe next time you'd stop before calling someone danger just because you can. She looks down. I can't undo what I did. No, I say. But you can decide what kind of person you'll be when someone else does it next time. Her silence folds over itself. I see the realization hit her. The kind that doesn't make noise but leaves bruises anyway. Thank you for listening, she says finally, voice small. I didn't listen for you, I say. I listened for closure. She nods once as if she's been waiting for the permission to walk away. When she does, the crowd swallows her. I exhale a weight I didn't know I was still holding. Caleb reappears, chocolate on his fingers, a grin fighting its way through the noise. Was that her? Yeah. What did she say? That she lost everything. He tilts his head. What did you say back? That maybe now she knows what she had. He studies me like he's learning something about the world he'll need later. Do you still feel mad? Not mad, I say. Just awake. He nods slowly, licking chocolate from his thumb. That's better, right? It's lighter, I say, and lighter's enough. He takes my hand, his smaller fingers wrapping around mine like they've always known the shape of steadiness. They see us now, right? I look around. The polite smiles, the careful stares, the ones pretending not to notice that I'm no longer invisible. They have to, I tell him. He smiles. Good. We step toward the exit, away from chandeliers and hollow applause. My heels click against the marble, each sound a reminder of what it took to walk this far. The night air greets us crisp and real. I breathe it in and let it settle inside me. The ground feels solid again,